we go, a colony of seals. Croeso I Conwy, welcome to Wales for another section of the Wales Coast Path, this time 20 miles from Colwyn Bay to Penmaenmawr. Today I've parked at Colwyn Bay train station for £5.20 for the whole day, walking to Penmaenmawr and getting the train back from there. Welcome to Colwyn Bay, the Amsterdam of North Wales. So two notable things about this stretch of the Wales Coast Path is that we will do our first bits of elevation. We've got the Little Orme and the Great Orme around Llandudno, and we're going to see the smallest church and smallest house in Great Britain. This is the smallest church in the British Isles. It seats about 6 people apparently, and it's still in action. Overhead we can see the Little Orme. It's our first bit of elevation across the whole of the North Wales Path so far. After the promenade it gets a little bit residential, but there are signs. Whilst they do need a bit of a refresh in places, they are still easy to follow. And you can see where we've come from in the last few adventures. Prestatyn, Rill, all the way round to Colwyn Bay, Ross-on-Sea, and finally up to the Little Orme. It's an area with a fair bit of history. Former limestone quarry, you've got Neolithic bones, human remains, and the first printing press in Wales was in a cave on this little hill, producing the Christian mirror in the 1580s. The beginning of the Little Orme is not super well signposted, so those are the houses that we came through. Keep following the coast to this nice flat area, and there's a really steep climb just here. It's not indicated, but that is the way up. And then once you're up here, there are some more posts to tell you that you're on the right track. No sooner than you finish climbing, you come down again. There are quite a few paths up there, so it is a little bit confusing, but basically, treat it like a driving lesson. If they haven't told you to change direction, keep going. So, roughly an hour and a half, about 5.5 miles in from Colwyn Bay, and we're in Llandudno, one of the first places on this trip across North Wales that I've actually been to before. It's your classic Victorian town on the seaside, wide promenade, big pier. There's a few pubs, lots of hotels, and there is of course a train station, so if you wanted to do a much shorter day you could get a train back to where you started. So once again you can see where we've come from. That is the Little Orme there. We've come round into Llandudno, past the Grand Hotel and the pier, and we're following the road around the Great Orme. Map check, you can see where we are. We're going to walk around this whole area. A little bit of a pain because you've got to just cut through here, but we're going to go around the Great Orme, which I've just learnt it was named by the Vikings, meaning sea serpent, which is pretty cool. I'm really hoping to see some seals as we walk around the Great Orme. Here we go, a colony of seals. So I was under the impression that the Wales Coast Path went all the way around the Orme, but actually there's a signpost that makes you do a little bit of a climb. And now we're halfway up, roughly. These are the signs. So hopefully we're on the right track. I'm at the summit of the Great Orme now, which is definitely the wrong way. So as you're walking around the Great Orme, continue walking around and ignore that sign. Not sure why it's there. Anyway, there are some cool things up here. There is a tram, there's a cable car, a copper mine from the Bronze Age, and some fantastic views of where we're going to go, both today and in the future as we continue along the Wales Coastal Path. Later this afternoon we'll follow this stretch of area around this rock. This is all the A55, and our final destination is just here. It's Penmaenmawr. And then in future we'll carry on all the way to Bangor. Up here is the Menai Strait, one of the most dangerous stretches of water in Britain, and then on to Ynys-Môn. And you can just see Puffin Island, which is slightly separate just there, and this is Ynys-Môn. So I've found my way down a very steep track, and this road is the one we should have been walking around, but I think I've had the better views for it. So behind me the Great Orme, and now we're on the west part of the Llandudno Peninsula, walking south towards Conwy and Conwy. 4 hours in and about 12 miles, and I'm just next to Conwy station, which could take you down, I believe, to Llandudno Junction, and then you change there to get back to Colwyn Bay if you're doing a shorter day. But we're going to keep marching, and we're going to end up at Conwy for lunch, which I think is one of my favourite places in all of North Wales. 4.5 hours and 14 miles, and we reach Conwy. We just had lunch in Conwy, home to the medieval walls and another one of Edward I's brilliantly preserved castles. Also in Conwy, right at the front, is the smallest house in Great Britain. It's a lovely little red house, and remarkably, the last person to live there was well over 6 foot tall. Here we have the option to take a highland route or the lowland route and stick close to the coast. However, since we're heading to Penmaenmawr, we're going to stick on the lowland and follow the main road, which I fear I may regret, but the signage just after Conwy falls away a little bit again, unfortunately. But essentially you want to head for Conwy Marina. I've gone slightly wrong next to Conwy Golf Course here, but it follows around and rejoins the path. So this is where we should have walked down along the marina, but the signs are back. So let's go. About 5 hours and 15 miles in, we're back on the track. We're on the coastal side of the golf course, where we should be, and heading west. I'd love to know what other people think of sand and walking through sand, because I find it a real pain. It absorbs every step, it gets everywhere. All the way from Colwyn Bay, Llandudno to Conwy, there's tons of transport hubs, foods, pubs, toilet places, tons of amenities, so it's really easy to plan this section. Just this last stretch where it's slightly quieter, we get caravan park and beach. So there's nothing now until Penmaenmawr. Now joining the A55, which I expect will be loud. This one's for the fans of brutalist architecture. The last few miles has been paved cycle lane again, and alongside the A55, so not much to report in terms of sightseeing, but we're nearly there now. Signage wise, I did get lost a few times today, but as ever, stick close to the sea and you won't go too far wrong. Here we are in Penmaenmawr, 19 miles and 6 hours later. It's been a good day. The last few miles has been paved on the cycle lane. Other than that, we've seen a few hills, a bit of sand, plenty of lovely places. If you're planning to do this, do let me know, and I can answer any questions you may have. Diolch yn fawr for watching. I hope you found it useful. I'll see you next time.